Right, the name Ewing goes through the Scottish National Party like the letters on a stick of rock. Fergus Ewing's been one of the totemic figures in the party since the Scottish Parliament formed. His mother Winnie helped to create modern nationalism. His wife Margaret, his sister Annabel, both big figures in the party too. So it's really come to something when a man with that background walks away from the party he's been steeped in all of his life and decides to stand against them. But that's what Fergus Ewing says he will do at the Holyrood elections next year. He joins me now from his home in the Highlands. Good morning, Mr. Ewing.
Good morning, Martin.
We've got a bit of a delay on the line, but we'll work with it. Listen, I was just going through the kind of family dynasty. So why now? Why is now the time to walk away from the SNP? What's tipped the balance?
It's been a difficult and very sad to say loyalty to many, many friends over 50 years service in the SNP. But reasons, Martin. First of all, I'm a Highland MSP. My job is to stand to represent and speak out for the people that voted me in. For 8 elections, I've campaigned and argued vociferously for safer roads for the Highlands, for the A9 and the A96 be dualled. And indeed, we promised them since 2011 we got off to a fair start, promises. And I cannot defend the indefensible. Secondly, the SNP in the days of my mother Winnie stood for people first. It stood up and championed our oil and gas workers, fish farmers, foresters, every walk of life. And we showed that we cared. Now we appear to have turned our back on many of them. And that is simply wrong. And thirdly, standing back from this, Martin, I do fear in every parliament for 26 years, reputation parliament itself is being harmed, particularly by the performance and problems over the last 4 years.
Right, look, we're struggling with this line to you, Fergus, but I'll stick with it for now. I'm bound to ask you whether or not this is a wise course of action. If you stand against the SNP, there is a significant possibility, is there not, that you split the vote and let another party through the middle. The last time round in the Holyrood elections in Inverness and Nairn, the Tories were about 20 points behind you, but if the vote between you and the SNP is split, do you not fear you'll allow them in?
I don't think that will happen. I'm fighting to win. I had a large majority, a fairly large personal vote. I take nothing for granted. I'm doing this because I think it's the right thing to do for my constituents, for democracy in Scotland, in the sense that I want to see, not to bring anybody down, but to raise the standard of the Parliament and to speak out. And it was Edwin Morgan, wasn't it, the great national bard, who said about the Scottish Parliament, what people don't want is a nest of fearties. And that doesn't serve anyone's interests, MSPs selected by party leaders on a list, instead of which there should be an open list where people can pick whoever they wish from that list. So I believe it's the right decision, and I will be sure the party will throw everything into it, every effort, the kitchen sink, and perhaps even the camper van.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? I mean, most of the policies that you really seem to object to, apart from the A9 duelling, were really trademarks of the Nicola Sturgeon era, the Humza Yousaf era. They've now gone and John Swinney's in there. You go back a long way with John Swinney, and you've decided, no, that now is the time to jump. Have you spoken to him about it?
Well, no, I haven't, but I have, I think, given clear, fair warning, not least in March, when I said, look, I'm minded to stand as an independent. I cannot stand for the SNP and defend the indefensible. But will you make significant, substantial progress on the A9 and the A96? Now, they haven't. They've spent £100 million on the duelling of the A96, and not 1 centimetre of tarmac has been laid. And we have all but 2 of the sections of the A9 haven't been duelled. We don't know how it will be financed, and there is no timetable at all for the Nairn bypass. That's just unacceptable. And it's not really a matter of how many seats the SNP get, it's how it's perceived by the people of Scotland. That surely is a far bigger issue. And obviously, having lost 65,000 members, 3/4 of its MPs, and 10 to 15% of the opinion polls, I challenge anyone in the SNP to put their hand on heart and say, we've done well.
Just very briefly, in a sentence, if you could, are you going to stand as a single issue candidate then? Are you going to be the kind of A9 and A96 candidate?
I want to finish that business. That's my unfinished business. But wider than that, Martin, I'm going to be putting out a whole series of proposals about how we can improve devolution as a whole, including picking the best of people from each of the main parties, because we may need, as has happened in Germany and Ireland, to have a firewall against extreme options. That's what's happened in Germany and Ireland. It may seem fanciful that the main parties in Scotland can work together, but that won't be so fanciful if Reform end up the second party after the next election. And I profoundly believe, and I have espoused this in my 14 years as a minister and 26 years as an MSP, that we must work better together. Otherwise, Scotland is fractious and tribal and divided. That is not in the interests of any nationalist movement.
All right, Fergus Ewing, we're going to leave it there, but it's not the last we've heard from you. I